Hi, this is Mark. Congratulations. You have found this amazingly awesome show. Chances are you're listening to it right now on whether it's iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other mobile app that allows you to stream this amazingly awesome show to your ear holes. And I can't stress how awesomely amazing this show really is. But did you know that you can also catch the latest episode of this show on the Tangibound Network? That's right. Go check out tangiboundnetwork.com. You can look them up and you can listen to it right there. It's even mobile friendly. What more could you ask for? Which means you can pull it up on your iPhone or your Android, even your Windows phone. Yeah, who has one of those? But still, point remains, you can do it. You can do it. Check it out, tangiboundnetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time. Check it out.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everybody. My name's Jen, and it's Spank the New Year's, baby, because it's a brand new year. Yay!
He's back and spanking right off the bat.
Yeah.
The only thing is I heard that very different. Must be me.
All right. All you people get your heads out of the gutters. Well, maybe not. If it brings you joy, why not?
Exactly.
Right?
Why not?
Right.
Why not? No. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Again, I did say on the last episode I was at that my commitment, New Year's resolution, is to be more consistent in 2017. Then I followed up by not being on the show. So,
well, in fairness,
17 yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, there we go. So it was not 2017 yet. So I still have time to come through with my resolution. So we'll definitely we'll give it a good college try, as they say.
At the end of 2017, what I need to do is look to see how many episodes Jen was on in 2016 to 2017, and we'll just see.
See how I do. How do I measure up?
Right.
Jen's report card. I love it. So with me, as always, is Brian and Henno. Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Hello, hello.
Hi.
So, what I miss? What's going on?
What did we miss? Or what did you miss? What did we miss?
Yeah.
What have you been doing? You fired off this time.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We're tired of carrying you.
I will go first. So, in the last few weeks, I can't talk. I have celebrated quite a lot of different things. Obviously the holidays with my family and friends, which was great. My mother was in town from Florida, so I got to spend a lot of quality time with her. My best friend was in town from Denver, so I got to spend a lot of time with her, which was fabulous, including New Year's Eve. And I bought a house. Yay, bought a house. Woo.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. And
finally it's over.
she bought a house, then she slept.
Then she slept.
as those of you that have been following the podcast with my journeys here, sleep has been eluding me quite a lot lately. So it's been really nice. I've been off of work for the last week, and the last 3 nights in a row, I've had over 8 hours of sleep. So my sleep is back, and it feels so good. I have so much more energy. Sleep is just an amazing thing. And for all you insomniacs out there, and I feel so bad that you have to go through that on a regular basis. My heart goes out to you because I love my sleep, and I know how rough it can be when your body doesn't want you to sleep.
Yeah.
And doesn't let you sleep. So I know, Brian, you've experienced that quite a bit.
Yeah, for a long, long time.
So I feel for you. And by no means did I have insomnia, but it was enough. It was close enough to give me the taste that I don't want to go there. If I can help it, I don't want to go there. So, well, I also went to New Year's Eve. I went out. I usually go out on New Year's Eve. Last 2 years, I've been in New Orleans, but this year, because of buying a house, yay! I wasn't able to travel, so I stayed local. And my best friend came in town versus meeting me down somewhere fun and party-like. We ended up going to a club in Detroit called the Magic Bag. And I normally don't drop names, but I wanted to in this case because this place is for people who have social anxieties and crowd anxieties. It's a very anxiety-friendly place. I was very, very impressed with how they have things set up and how the place managed the crowd. There's 3 levels. It's like a tiered, 3 tiers. The first tier is right next to the stage where the band was playing. So if you like a lot of people and dancing and singing and being right up front, more power to you. There's lots of opportunity for you to do that. The second tier has less people, still a good amount of crowd. There's a couple tables and stuff, but definitely more, still kind of heavy in the crowd area. The third tier, which is the one on the top, has a really great view of the front door, the bar, and the bathroom. Plus, there's more tables. So if you have an anxiety, somewhat like, I have a social anxiety. I also have a crowd anxiety. It was really nice. I felt very, very comfortable. I had a great view of the stage. I could still interact. I was screaming and dancing and singing with everybody else. I didn't feel like a loon, doing that up in the less crowded area. I fit right in, but I still could. I felt at all times that if I wanted to, I could leave the building within moments. I could take, 10 steps and I could be outside breathing fresh air if I really needed to. And that was such a huge impact on my evening. It just made me feel so much better that I could, if anything went wrong, I knew I had my escape outlets ready. I could watch the bar, and when there wasn't a huge crowd at the bar, I could go up and get my drinks. Same thing with the bathroom. So I could avoid any large crowd at any given moment very, very simply by just looking ahead. I could see everything. So kudos to you guys for setting up a really awesome club and a ton of fun. It was a mega 80s night, dressed up in costume, partied my little heart out. Didn't once feel claustrophobic or have any sort of panic or anxiety.
That's awesome.
So, yes. Nice. Good nights. So how about you guys? How was your New Year's?
I was probably asleep at 10.
Woo, party!
I got sick after, while we were podcasting last week. I was like, I feel scratchy throat. And sure enough, by the next morning, because I took Thursday off, I ended up working on New Year's Day, and I wake up and it was just a cold. I mean, just your classic cold. It's like you got the sore throat, you got the sniffles, you just know what it feels like. And I'm like, okay, well, at least this is my day off. And, and by the next day it was congestion. It's like, okay, I'm not going skiing, I had I didn't have a whole lot planned. I had some things planned, but I was basically like, no, I'm sick and that's that. I'm doing stuff around the house instead. And so by the time it was, New Year's Eve, it was like, I mean, like I said, I was probably in bed and asleep by 10:30. I was like, I'm done.
Wow.
Oh, that's a bummer, but glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, well, now, and that's for me, my big issue is I just end up with sinus infections. I just, just have bad issues with that. So anytime I get sick, it's like, okay, let's, take care of yourself. Don't, and I get really run down easily. So it's been like, save my energy for work. But what's been great is I've still found my motivation has still been with me, even when I wasn't feeling well. And it's something that we started talking about last week on the show about just, continuing what I've been doing about kind of just taking care of business and I've been doing it even sick. It's always tempting for me to it's like I've always, it's funny. When I used to get sick, I used to drink a lot because I figured I already feel like crap. So what difference does it make?
Sure, right? Yeah.
But I'm a lousy patient. Like don't talk to me, don't touch me. I just, give me bad television, video games, whatever, something to get lost in, and just let me feel miserable. I've always been that way, but it was just different for me. It's like, I got up and I did things that needed to get done. I had some amazing furniture I'd gotten from one of our homeowners, and now with the bay window is going to go in another week or two, and I'm like, okay, I had to get rid of this furniture. It was right where the bay window is, and I'm like, I can donate this stuff for a lot of money. I mean, their slate topped, with big chunky wood, like Craftsman style end tables and a coffee table. They're huge.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like the end tables are 2.5 feet square, 2.5 feet tall. And the coffee table is 5 feet square about. Like
wow.
I can barely pick up the end tables myself. I mean, they're a 2-person hall. They're that big and I'm like, I gotta donate these before the end of the year so I can get the tax deduction. Right. And I figured I could easily list like $800, not a problem, and so we have it's like a building materials thrift store and they'll do pickups. So they came by and picked it up on Friday but it was just like those little things of like, even though I wasn't feeling well, I started cleaning up and started doing stuff and it just felt good. And I allowed myself to not, like, I was starting to beat myself up for not going to the gym, all those things, it's like, okay, I'm off my routine. It's like, well, yeah, you're sick. So you're off your routine. So be off your routine until you feel like doing something. And like today, I actually felt like, oh, you know what? I can do some push-ups or whatever, I just like today, just a little. So yeah, it feels like a good way to start the year, even though I was, feeling poorly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. That's awesome. How about you, Brian? How was your New Year?
Boy, the order this week is perfect because we're progressing from Jen going, I did all this stuff, I had a great time,
exactly.
to Heno going, I still was motivated, but I felt like garbage, to me, which was, Heno and I recorded Wednesday last week, and then Thursday I recorded early, with Tony, from Salty Language, and, he's like, what are you up to? And I was like, the other 2 people in the house have the flu. I'm trying not to get it. So of course, Friday I wake up and I'm like, oh, I don't feel right. And right into the bathroom and proceed to just empty everything. And, and I was like, man, cause I, knock on wood, I haven't been sick this year. So I was just like, man, thinking, I kind of made it through a year without catching a flu or a cold or anything like that, really. And then here we go with like 2 days left in the year, and I got some sort of stomach virus. And it was brutal for 2 days. Across 2 days, I ate 6 Keebler Club crackers. That's all I had to eat. And I drank just sparingly drank water because anything that went into my stomach basically upset it enough that it would come back up. So it was horrible. And I mean, on the upside, I look great for the new year, but no, I'm kidding. Sorry, that's
so slender.
I know I lost weight. Like I put a t-shirt on yesterday and I was like, I've lost some weight.
Wow.
Cause, and well, I mean, I barely ate for 3 days. And then as I'm now eating, what I'm finding is, and this actually could be used as a good thing, which is I found that I don't have the size appetite that I had before. Like, we got Chinese food 2 days yesterday. I don't remember when it was. And I ate part of it and, felt okay. And then later I finished it, and it wasn't that much, but I finished it. And after eating it, I mean, I felt stuffed for like 6 hours. It took forever. And I was like, I should pay attention to this because if my appetite actually kind of fits into a smaller window here like this, maybe it's not a bad thing, because I've kind of needed to cut back a little bit anyway. So this kind of gives me a reason and, because it's made me physically uncomfortable to eat, any more than that. So, so I'm finally feeling all right today. The pain in my sides is finally gone from getting sick, and because yesterday the night before, I sneezed really hard at one point, and man, I thought I was going to just start crying. It hurt so bad, it was so awful, and my mom is still getting over it. Like she's still weak and stuff, and she had it before I did. Because they went to some Christmas party and they didn't know it. Somebody who was there, their baby had it, basically. They didn't bring the baby, but they brought the virus for everyone, apparently. Because a bunch of the people who were there all came down with it. So, and my brother came over because while everyone else was sick, I was going to have him take me to the store so I could, get stuff to cook and whatnot. And, he came over Friday and my mom met him at the door and was like, basically, the scene from The Walking Dead where the sign says, was it don't enter, dead inside or whatever, It's like,
you don't want no part of this.
Just a terrible, terrible way to end the year. So I pretty much, I spent New Year's Eve and New Year's Day just lying in bed and watching, I sent Heno a text, or a message because I was looking for anything to watch basically. And, when we were in Chicago, he got me watching, Crisley Knows Best. And, we were sitting there just laughing at how awful the show and that family are. And so there was a marathon of it on, and I'm just sitting there just with it on. So clearly I was delirious. But then I found there was a Simpsons marathon on FXX, so I switched over to that and watched that for the rest of the time. But just a terrible way to spend a couple of days, I'll tell you that.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm feeling pretty good now. I'm pretty much back to normal. I'm still just maybe a little weak. And I honestly think the weakness came from not eating. I think I wasn't maintaining my strength even after, because I was afraid to eat again. The
ramifications were dire.
Yeah, I woke up on that third day and I'm like, I'm feeling okay. And I was like, well, I'm going to try some toast, and I ate 2 pieces of toast with just a little bit of butter on them. And after eating that, I was like, done. Like, that's it. That's all I want right now, and so I've just been easing my way back into food, It's,
sure.
Ugh.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
Well,
so to anyone listening, if you hear anyone around you has this stomach virus, stay very clear of them because it's no fun.
understandable, sure. Well, kind of brings us to what our topic is today, which is one that Heno came up with, and I think it's very appropriate for the beginning of the new year. So, which is power words. Now, the power words can be used in a lot of different ways. A big thing they're used for is marketing. People use them in the business format, in meetings and things like that. But how we're talking about the power word is almost as a mantra for you. So pick a word that has some meaning for you and helps to remind you and refocuses you on what you want to achieve and what your goals are for the year. You could even use the word such as focus. My friends and I have something called a focus box. Focus box is when you take your middle two fingers and you take your thumb and you meet them together and you leave your pinky up and your index finger up. And it forms a fox. The focus box comes out when everyone needs to focus.
That's
so
awesome.
You go focus box and make the focus box, and everyone's supposed to stop what they're doing, what they're saying, and look at the focus box.
For if you're a wrestling fan and you go back a little way, it's what the NWO used to flash when they said "too sweet." All right, enough of that. Just trying to help people get the visual. That's all.
You got to get the visual here. And of course, I'm doing this while I'm talking to the guys on the podcast. So you get this focus box and you get everyone's attention, and that's how you kind of curtail the large group of friends that are all talking at the same time. At least that's how my group works. So if you need to in your head and you're going to accept focus as your keyword, as your power word, that's a great one you can use. So there's an example for you, folks. Every time you say focus, it helps you to clear the mechanism, as Brian says, and focus on that word and focus on what you're trying to achieve in that moment. Great power word. I found a great article here from Associates Mind. And again, this one is a little bit more geared towards professional development, but I think it's very apropos to what we're talking about.
Well,
So,
really, it's all the same thing. Like if you're using it as a managing tool, you're using it to get people to, you're using it to motivate people or for them, to give them a tool to use for whatever. So it really is the same thing.
Exactly. Let's see. Okay. From looking around more, I'm going to jump around a little bit in this article. It says, from looking around more, when it comes to resolutions and goals, a power word is more akin to a mantra, a sacred utterance, a numerous sound, syllable, a word, or phonemes, or a group of words in Sanskrit believed by practitioners to have a psychological and spiritual powers. Mantras are used in a variety of religious and spiritual practices. They're used to refine and refocus your thoughts. I think that's the key right there, folks. They're used to refine and refocus your thoughts. Kind of goes along with everything else we've been talking about, refocusing your brain and changing your thought patterns and refining how you're looking at things to make your life better and to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So a power word is going to be a single word that you imbue.
Yep.
Okay, new word for today. The word that you imbue with meaning to help govern and align your actions. All right, attention is currency. Pay attention. You have a limited number of seconds of attention, and you can spend a second on only one thing. There are no refunds. However, however, for buyer's remorse. If you have a choice between a better thing to pay attention to and a worse thing, and you choose the worse thing, you are harmed by, at the very least, the opportunity cost of choosing the wrong. So, it's very important that you choose a good power word.
Squirrel! No.
Honestly,
I love that.
squirrel can be a great power.
You know what? That could be great.
Yeah.
Because it stops you in your tracks. It stops. You go, squirrel! And you can refocus and get back to what you're trying to accomplish.
That's great.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about this, and I think my power word for the year is going to be quality. Every time I start getting myself lost in different things, I'm just, quality. No, quality. Because I have a tendency to spread myself too thin, and I don't give quality to everything I do. And I really want to be really focused on, if I'm listening, I want to do quality listening. If I'm with someone, I want to give them my full attention. I want to give them not just quantity of my time and of myself. I want to give them quality me. So that's going to be my mantra word, is quality.
That's a good one.
Mm.
So last year I did and I'm pretty sure I shared it on here. Angela was doing early in the year. She did a series of classes at the gym where it started with it was all it's supposed to be towards doing vision boarding for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the first class, and it was just a series of writing exercises where it was kind of stream of consciousness. You were just supposed to, she would pose a question, and you would just kind of write down whatever came to mind. And you these questions, and I think in the end, it ended up being like around 10, 12 maybe sheets of of writing that I'd done. And in a way, it was its own kind of a meditation, because the more I wrote, the more so you're supposed to just write whatever comes to mind, right? But what I found is the further in I went, the stuff that really wasn't important started falling away. And I started instantly coming back to a key set of concepts. So whatever it was, whether it was a question about what would you like to have at work, what would you like to have in your personal life, what would you like to have for this, or whatever it was, I kept coming back down to these four, kind of ideas. And in the end, the word I ended up with was calm. And for anyone that's been listening to The Crazy Life, that's what I've been talking about last year. Mostly that was my whole point of how I want to get to work, how I want to be during my day, how I did not want to feel that frantic, rushed, late pressure, that kind of stuff. There was a sense of relaxation with all that. And I didn't realize that what we were doing, that I'd actually found a power word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, until today when I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about power words, and I was like, oh, whoa, that's what that, and they came up out of a work thing. And I was like, wow, that's what happened last year. So then I started thinking about, okay, what have I been, I'm not going to sit and do this exercise, but in a way, every time I come on this, we do this podcast, it's my, it's my meditation in action, or it's whatever you want to call it. It's my hour and so of catharsis. And really what I've come up with is my word is action.
Oh, that's
That's what I've been talking about, is action.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Even if it's small, so that's going to be my reminder when I'm sitting. So some big thing with recovery with me is, I got into a program of action. No one was going to come and take away my character defects, my desire to drink. Well, in a way, I didn't get rid of my desire to drink. It kind of took care of itself, but it happened as a result of action.
Yeah.
Right. And we call it a program of action. You don't, sit and, and through osmosis, think that you're going to absorb, wisdom that's going to change your life. It's just not how it works. It's like you have to put pen to paper. You have to go put your butt in the seat. You have to open your mouth. You have to listen. It's everything about it is action. And that's how change happens because of action. And I'd rather have the change happen because of action rather than reaction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody likes when change is thrown on us, when life lifes us.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even worse when I myself have contributed to that, where I find myself in a sticky situation, i.e. my debt or whatever it is, where I go, well, it's your own doing,
Right.
And now you're having to react.
Yep. You got some choices you got to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I've been talking about these little things, and it's things that this weekend I got a few more things listed up on eBay. I went into the basement and made myself some room and put some things in I cleaned up my studio. It's not my desk actually has place that I can put my beverage down. Whereas before it was literally just covered in paperwork and tools and stuff. It's like I put the tools back where they're supposed to go and that kind of thing. So I want to utilize my power word as my, like a check and balance. And action is going to be the thing that, am I in action right now? Or am I in reaction?
Good one.
Meaning that sitting on the couch is still an action if I choose to do it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so where action came to me was I wanted, this is about motivation, but I didn't want to use the word motivation.
Right.
But motive is the key part of that word. And my check and balance for this year, when I ask myself, am I in action, is to check my motive.
Mm-hmm.
Am I reacting to something right now, or am I choosing this? Is there something else that I would, if I was to make a choice, would I prefer to be doing something else? So
yeah, that's good.
That's going to be my power word.
That's awesome.
It's funny because when you said calm, that was exactly what mine was last year, essentially. Like what I actually physically, when I go into like times if I'm feeling anxious or whatever, when I go into another room, when I do breathing, at the same time, I'm saying the word calm. That's my centering point, is the word calm. So, and I'll continue to use that. I'm not going to, stop using that. But that was mine last year too. Cause once I started doing that, cause my therapist kind of mentioned it to me that when I'm doing the breathing stuff, she's like, try to, pick a word, much like in meditation, you pick a word sometimes and center on that word essentially. And then if you drift off, you come back to the word or the image or whatever you're using. And, so it's done a lot for me. It's really helped to kind of add another layer to that, not just doing the breathing, but then it adds another, tether to reality basically, or to, that it puts me where I need to be, calm. Like, we said before with the power words, it gives you a chance to reset, and, so it's funny that you said that too, which makes sense because in so many ways, I feel like I've told you a long time ago that I kind of feel like at times I feel like I'm drafting off of Heno, like I feel like I'm kind of walking a similar path. I'm just behind him a little bit, in my way here. So, and for this year, like when you mentioned it earlier, when I was trying to think of my word, it's funny that you said action because mine is really similar, but mine is try. And the reason mine is try is because there's so many, because honestly, it was going to be try or finish because I have a tendency of starting but not finishing things. But I felt like finish is one that I feel like finish is too close to a negative concept because, sometimes that pressure to finish can put you in a negative mindset. So I decided to go with try because it's something I've been doing over the last few years anyway, which is, if there's a food I didn't like, it's like, well, give it another try. Is there, an action that you haven't done in a long time? Give it a try. It's like, and we talked like last week talking about motivation and stuff, you know, and it's like, there's things where the world, like you said, Henno, the world isn't going to change just while you're just standing there. As far as, you know, for the better, you have to enact some energy into things. You know, a ball will just sit there unless you kick it, basically. And that's kind of the idea, is that I need to kick the ball once in a while in order to then, like you were saying, get to the point where I can then look at what happens after that and then go, okay, how am I going to, you know, act or react here? And, so I think, like I said, I think try is mine. Because it's kind of the next step in this process for me anyway, is that, you know, the depression and anxiety have receded so much stuff from me, that it's like, I have to start trying things again to start trying to find my passion. You know, like, is this something I want in my life? Is this something I don't want in my life? Like, you know, I've said before on here, I often have wondered if I just got rid of everything art supply wise that I have, if it would eliminate a ton of stress from me, or if it would create more stress on me, you know?
Good point.
And, because I put a lot of pressure on myself that I'm not using this stuff. And it's like, well, what if you didn't have this stuff? Would you feel the same pressure, kind of a thing? So it's, you know, like I said, it's, there's so many things like that I kind of think I need to start trying things again. And if they don't bring me the joy or calm or whatever, if all they do is add stress and, chaos, essentially, then maybe it's time to remove those things, you know, permanently or for a longer time, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Be a phoenix.
Yeah.
We can, a phoenix, for those of you who don't know, many of you probably already do, but a phoenix is a mythological bird that is born from the ashes of a flame. And every so often, when it dies, it bursts into flame, becomes ashes again, and then is reborn from the ashes. It's a cycle. And we can reinvent ourselves as many times as we want. Somebody used to call me hypocritical. They're like, you change your thoughts and your opinions all the time. And I said, yes, because that's why I'm growing and learning. And I have the freedom to change my mind. You know, as I learn new things, I will change, because that is a human being. That's what we do. If I'm hypocritical because I change based upon new information as I learn it, call me hypocritical. I don't care.
That's the key, is what you said, is you have new information. That's not being a hypocrite.
No.
That's taking in the new information and making the adjustment.
Yeah.
It's called good decision making.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
But by the way, I don't know if you can see this. I just pulled my necklace off.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's cool.
That's the phoenix. That's the symbol of the phoenix. That's the necklace I wear. That's the city of Phoenix. That's on their flag.
Okay.
You'll see this shape everywhere, having to do with anything having to do with that part of the country, you know. But as soon as you said that, I'm like, whoa, that's a trip.
Yeah.
Phoenix. I mean, I just love them. I absolutely love them, and I love what they stand for. And you know, it's perfect for this time of year, because it's rebirth, it's renew, it's growth. We have an entire year in front of us that's ours for the taking. You can be whoever you want to be. You know, Brian in the past was an artist. Maybe Brian in 2017 isn't. And that's okay. Maybe Brian in 2017 is a podcasting extraordinaire, is a marketer, you know, and whatever you put your mind to it. And maybe 2018, Brian becomes an artist again. Who knows? You know, but that's up to you to decide. It's not set in stone who you're going to be. You get to decide who you're going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have something I want to throw at you guys that this drives me absolutely nuts, and I get to hear it all the time. in a lot of my groups is the old Yodaism: do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
That's so false.
I can't, I didn't just juggle.
Yeah, exactly. Try is the starting point. Yeah.
And I think it comes from people, and I know some people have said it's something my father used to always tell me, or something my mother, or it's something that was, there is no try, only do, you can only do.
Yeah.
Trying isn't good enough or whatever. And I'm like, I want to blow that up.
Right.
Because it's like, how do you even know you want to do if you don't try at first?
Yeah.
I'd rather go with if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that bad?
Yeah.
And I get it, for some people that sits in their brain better. Like trying is like being, is only giving a half effort or something. You do it. But I mean, talk about going back to like the masculine or feminine concepts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it's like that you only do. It's so unforgiving.
Yeah.
And it's like, no wonder people just give up,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You be softer with yourself. Let yourself have that freedom of movement.
And then that falls right into a let yourself fail. Failing is not a bad thing. You have to fail to succeed. You have to. Again, look at how many times Einstein or Edison and stuff, there's talks about, like, they did things and it didn't work. So they changed and then it did work. This is what happens all the time in every bit of invention that there has ever been. Something didn't work. Someone else looked at it or someone looked at it and said, what if we do this? And then it worked. At some point there's little adjustments, The first time you went to walk as a baby, you didn't just immediately stand up and just start walking. You probably fell, and that has to happen. Sooner or later, you don't fall as much.
Unless, the old Edison thing is like, oh, well, you haven't accomplished anything. It's like, sure I have. I've figured out 1,000 ways how not to make a light bulb.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's a perfect example.
I've spent my life learning what doesn't work for Henno.
Yeah, right.
That's what I've done.
Well, and it's funny.
And
we're going to spend more of our life finding what does not work for us.
Yeah.
We
it's
really
not, I
do.
Didn't fail.
Yeah.
I accomplished a lot. I learned, I mean, if I want to look at that way.
Yeah.
And I was having a chat with a friend of mine who, I mean, miraculously, she didn't think that she would ever end up being pregnant. And she's pregnant and she's due in 10 days. And, she hasn't had a really great history with the relationships. And, this, like when I asked her, I said, so, how long have you been dating this guy? And she's like, well, let's see. Do you want to hear the truth or what I'm telling everybody else? Because when you ask how far along in your pregnancy are you and how long you've been dating,
right,
close together.
Yeah, they're awfully close. But one of the things, we kind of laughed a little bit, and I said, so when's he lives, it's kind of a little bit of a long distance relationship right now, and I was like, so when does cohabitation begin? Yeah, and how are things and that kind of stuff, and and she's just like, we'll see, blah blah blah. And I said, well, I suggest separate bedrooms. It works great for me and Sharon. I mean, but I had to try the other way to learn that this is what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had to try and fail and go, and then eventually go, okay, doing the old definition of insanity is not working.
Well, and there's another thing with this too, I did this because again, a lot of this stuff ends up being which side of the fence you decide to look at something from, whether it's a failure or a success. And it could really be both. It could really just be a matter of how you want to argue the semantics. Me and Tony had a comic shop for a couple of years, right? We ended up going, having to close it. So you could look at that as a failure because we're not still in business, Or you could look at it as the fact that we tried, we had it, like we didn't just go, well, let's see if we can get this to have it, happen, and then it falls through. We actually opened it. It was open for 2 years. Yeah, we were open for 2 years despite finances and stuff, so which heavily surpasses how long most businesses are open, like new businesses. So it's like, well, which side of the fence do you want to look at this on? Do you want to look at this as, well, we closed, so it was a failure? That's what I did for a long time. Looking back at it now, it's like, no, we took a shot at a dream. It didn't pan out the way we thought it was going to, but we took a shot at it and we had it. We at least got to taste it for a couple of years.
Well, that's
familiar.
Yeah.
Sounds like something someone would tell you
exactly.
all the time.
I know, but that's the thing is, go ahead.
It's whether you look at it as like, this is, you get to, when it was that thing where it's like, all right, when I'm on my deathbed, what do I want to look back and say?
Yeah.
And I get to say, yeah, I toured the United States in a rock and roll band. Yeah. I can say that. Yep. I did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't much. I mean, it was 6 weeks, but I did it. It's like you owned a business.
Yep.
And not just any business, a comic shop. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You get to color your own coloring book.
It's very true.
I like that.
Yeah.
You can choose what colors you use. You can make it in black and white if that's really what you want. You can make it in rainbow colors. But it's your story. It's your book to write.
What a great metaphor for this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Color your coloring book this year.
Yeah. Color
however you want to.
Yeah.
It's a blank page.
Yeah.
That's why, I still won't do a vision board. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But I like the concepts that we're talking about here, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem. I don't mind the idea of visualizing what is my page going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
What are the colors am I going to draw? And it's just like anything else. Before I go at something, I do a lot of thinking, visualizations. I check to see if my heart's in it. These are things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I can apply those to the idea of like, hey, how do I want my attitude to be this year?
Yeah.
How do I want, because I do believe that I'm not also big into manifesting. I know that's a big part of this thing with Vision Board is manifesting this. And I kind of try to take life as it comes to me rather than make it meet my will, because that's kind of what got me into trouble in the past, is thinking that I had control over this kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to go down that road because to me, I think it leads to me trying to be more controlling. For some people it works fine. And it's just, I think for me, I think it leads to me going, this has to fit this mold or I failed, and if I can't hold and mold things into that, then in my head, it's not good and it's a failure. So I'm the same way.
And I miss the journey when I do that.
Yeah.
I'm so focused on the destination. Yeah, I'm so focused on that destination. I miss the journey, and I miss some really cool detours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I don't get those up, so I set off on the journey. I have a goal in mind. I have my destination in mind, but I try to make sure I'm looking around enough that I can see these great detours, so I'm not missing out.
Yeah.
That's the key. Is try not to miss out on some amazing things by being too focused on that ultimate finite thing that you're going after.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between, our who we are, what our personality traits being assets versus liabilities. Mm-hmm. I think my ability to focus on something can be an asset or a liability. It's all a matter of how I want to approach it, because I do believe that, having goals and visions, those things are very important. I mean, if you want to make something happen, you can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where I look at it is like, how do I want to make it happen?
Yeah.
And I think is what you're talking about. It's like, I did a podcast once on detours.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about detours. Like don't pass up a side trip.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you might find.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that you're still, hey, you're still heading to Albuquerque.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you just might get there 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to see the big, giant bottle of ketchup.
Yeah.
Or the, big ball of twine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what coolness that could be out there.
Yeah.
So, well, I think this is a great conversation, but I don't want us to go too long. So, how much, we're looking good, Brian, or do we want to wrap up?
We're fine.
Are we good?
Yeah. I mean, unless we've kind of hit a natural end, so it can
feels
just
good to
be,
me.
yeah, it can just be. I have something else to bring up that I thought was interesting. It's kind of on topic too. A lot of times I'll bring up, stuff I've heard on another podcast or whatever.
Sure.
And sometimes it's not quite on the same topic. It's just relevant to the overall discussion. But this week on, Hidden Brain podcast, the topic was unstuck. Like how to get unstuck. And, there was a great bit on there from a guy who is, I can't remember exactly what his title is, but I think he's like an engineer or whatever. And he worked for Apple on the design of their mouse. And for those who don't know, Apple doesn't really use a mouse anymore. They have a whole touch thing that they use. But anyway, for the longest time, the Apple mouse only had one button versus most mice out there had two, a right and a left. And anyway, he was talking about different ways to approach things in your life that he's basically why is it that we only have one path in life, essentially? He's like, why don't we sit down and go, these are the things these are the things I think I could be good at, and then basically assess where you are in life, the probabilities, and he goes into a much better talk. I can't do it justice here. But the show's only half an hour, 45 minutes, so I highly suggest listening to it. But it's a great point in how, he made a comment that he's, I think 47 or something like that, and he's like, I'd love to be a music star, but I have minimal talent and my age do not lend to that being a viable option. So basically that is kind of no longer on the goal board, essentially,
Yeah.
And he was talking about that kind of a thing, and it makes sense. It's a total engineering mindset in that you don't just look at things and go, there's only one solution. You look at things and go, there are different ways we can get to the end. Let's explore all of them and see which is the best way to get to wherever it is that we're going. And like I said, first of all, that podcast is a great podcast.
It really is.
Especially if you're into, how humans tick. It's a great podcast. But second of all, this one was a really good one. So like I said, it's, the title of it, I believe, is How Silicon Valley Can Help You Get Unstuck, is what it says
That's
here.
cool.
So, and it's actually
Awesome.
it's from January 3rd, I believe, or so it's the brand new episode.
Nice.
So,
Well, I think it's a good place for us to kind of start our wrap up. Yeah. So, with that being said, if you want to continue the conversation, you can contact me at Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also shoot us an email at the Crazy Life Podcast at outlook.com. Almost forgot for a minute there. And our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com. And you, Henno?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Henno. Find me on Facebook, Henno Heiter, or look us up on the Crazy Life Facebook page. That's we're getting more people in there, so
yeah.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Welcome to all our new friends.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. That
And
can
your
be found at facebook.com/groups/Crazy Life Podcast. Just for knowledge there.
Yes.
You can also follow the show on Twitter to see when new episodes go up at the Crazy Life Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at StuNami. You can follow my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work, so make sure, you you've been warned. Excuse me. And I forgot what I was going to say here. We're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. And if you listen to us on iTunes, if you could please go leave us a review, because we don't have really reviews, so nobody loves us. And no, but yeah, if you could, leave us a review if you have time. If not, we understand. Make sure you've subscribed, and if you listen on Stitcher or other podcast apps, if they have a like or a share option, please use those also, because it helps. It helps us in visibility when people are looking through categories. So yeah, is that. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Jeez, I'm looking right at my list, and I feel like you know what it is I think it's a mindset of me going through the whole list last week, and this week Jen being back, I don't have to go through a few of them, so it's throwing me off. Yeah. Also, I'll mention that we're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind. If you need help, please seek out professional help. And, because that's where a lot of this has been picked up from. There's a lot of stuff you can read on the internet, but really, get someone who's got the training to help guide you, because it's a lot to filter on your own. And that's their job, is to help you filter what will be helpful for you. And then, of course, if you're feeling suicidal, please don't act on that unless it's to call a friend or, to seek or reach out for help if you can. Again, on the Facebook group, there's a files link at the top of the page that's got a bunch of different numbers and resources if you're having a crisis and need help. So, check that out, or, call the suicide prevention hotline number 911, just reach out for something, for help, but please don't act on that. And also, don't wait until you feel like you're going to act on it. If you find yourself planning or writing a suicide note or notes, reach out to somebody, tell them you're feeling that way, seek help, and such. And, and then the last thing I'll say is, on the other side of that, reach out to somebody, find somebody that you haven't maybe talked to in a while, or somebody that has a mental illness or a mental health issue. Just reach out to them. Make sure they're doing okay. They don't even have to have that. Just a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Reach out to them and say, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. How's it going? Try to up your compassion level each day if you can, just reach out and see who you can help.
Absolutely. And, you didn't give the word not doctors, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. I apologize. So with that being said, welcome to the new year, everybody. Come join us on our wonderful journey. Be here next week. And that being said, keep breathing and wiggle your toes.